Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to day 5 of July, the World Watercolor Month. So today I want to create a geranium. I have currently a geranium blossoming on my windowsill, and so we're going to use a couple of stamping sets today. We're going to use some of the elements from my botanical set, a couple of the rounder leaves I think, as well as some of the elongated. And then we're going to use some elements from my summer florals and palette swatches. Both are ready on pre-order on Alyona Creates in my Etsy shop. And from the palette swatches, I think we'll just stick for now with the minimal 5 strip here, 5 color swatches. Let's start by just simply stamping out a few images. So when we're thinking about geraniums, we typically have 5 petals. So I'm going to use 2 longer petals at the top and then rounder petals at the bottom. So these 2. And I am going to use my acrylic block, which is also available on my online shop. So let's see, I'm going to start with the bottom petal. That's the one that I'm currently looking at, and it's not overlaid. The others are. So we're going to ink up the second one. So next one, the middle one is going to come out lower down, and we're going to basically erase kind of the left side a bit more around there, and then third petal we're going to erase again the left side, but even more this time, like that. And now I'm going to go to this petal here, and it can be used as a leaf and a petal. So the one I'm looking at is kind of self-standing like so, and then the right side. So here we go. As we're going to line these out, we're going to give them a bit more of a rounder look. So then let's look at some of the elements from my summer florals. And I think I want to use, I'm going to go a bit whimsical this time. And I'm going to use something quite small and ornamental. And I'm going to nestle it into here. I think this time I just want to do flowers predominantly, so I'm gonna do this flower here at the bottom. Now let's do it nice and floral this time. I'm going to do the same flower, just turn it around here at the bottom like that, and then I'm going to use a couple more of the same flower and just build on a little cluster. So I'm going to show you a slightly different style today. Just a cluster of flowers. We might use some berries, but we're not going to use leaves today. And the third one. So this one I'm going to go here maybe. And now let's move on to a few of the berries. And just look at your composition, where you'd like to add and kind of where you'd like to go with it. So I'd like to repeat this one here somewhere. So I'm going to wipe off. So just like that. Let's go with a few more. I'm going to go with these berries here. They have a bit more detail. It's now in the afternoon, so people are a bit more chilled. Well, actually, it's only 4 o'clock, but clearly not everyone is working in this country. So this one has lovely detail, and I do enjoy adding it into places. I'm gonna add even another one here. I'm gonna give myself a little challenge today and just stamp 4 colors out of the 5, because frankly I only have space for 4. But I'm also want to have a challenge of using not only a very limited color palette, but also see if I can use some of those 4 colors, mix them and create new colors. It's always fun to give yourself little challenges, and what could be a better time than a whole month of watercolor. So I have swapped to Staedtler pigment liner because the other one has died on me. It's empty, which is good because it means I have been using it. So let's now start with lining things out. So there's a little bit of a mess here. If you can see, there's some lining, crossing, etc. So we need to tidy all of that up, and we also need to think about rounding up these petals here. So I am going to show you how to do that. There is one. And there is second. It's such a joy when your liner is nice and juicy. So there we go. I'm gonna leave it at that, I think. I'm also going to add my signature marks, but you can do your centers the way you like them. I just prefer that with my illustration. And then I'm going to go ahead and just line out everything else. So look at what is in the foreground, what is in the background, or equally what is stamped which way, and how would you like to place it, and line it out accordingly. So I'm going to go in and do that. I'll start with the bigger flowers first because they're easier, and with the smaller details and elements I'm going to take my time and figure out how I want things to look. So let's start with this side here. This is now you, the artist, making executive decisions. I kind of like it. It almost looks like a chubby bunny with like big cheeks. I do like the fun element about it. I'm also going to round up these leaves a little bit here. Obviously stamping with the nude ink makes it so much easier because, you know, you can't see if you make a stamping mistake or like any overlapped details which you don't want to look like a mess. You know, you want it to look nice and crisp. Sometimes you also want to move things around, and you can do it as you're lining things out. Okay, so there's another one here. I'm going to layer these slightly, and that will give us a new look. So it won't look exactly the same as these berries, although it's the same stamp, but just by adding a little change you can versify them. Okay, and then the last one, I need to turn my sketchbook around. It's a big sketchbook, so it's not the easiest to film with, but we get a lot in this sketchbook done. And in fact, I planned it so that when we finish the watercolor month, I can do a flip through for you because the sketchbook will be finished as well. Okay, so here we go. No leaves today, just a nice kind of little cluster of flowers. Let's grab our watercolors and start with the fun. So I've got, as always, the same brushes. I'm not kind of looking to change them for now. We've got Princeton Heritage round 3 and round 1. I'm going to start with a bigger one, and because it's kind of our main flower, in fact I'm gonna use 2 colors and see if I can make a nice color out of it, and that way we will potentially have 3 colors out of the 2, which leaves us enough space for the 2. So if I'm going to just add a little bit of this color here, what do we have? I want a bit more red into there. Okay, so now let's start by adding this color into the petals. So I'm going to add a bit of gradient. So I'm going to go halfway in, and I'm going to use a napkin for water control. I'm going to add a bit of water at the bottom and let the two kind of meet, and then pull out the color here at the bottom so that we have lighter color towards the center and darker here. And we're going to repeat the same on all of these petals. We could have used the same petal shape for the geranium and it would have looked great, and I might do it for another time. All of the kind of these elongated petals would have been lovely as well, or all of the round ones, depending what kind of... There are some pelargoniums which have more of a elongated shape, and then geraniums more of a rounder shape. So it depends what you are aspiring to paint. I really like this color. It's a bit more subdued. And finally the last one here. So you can see once you go over with watercolor, over that stamped ink, you're not going to see it. Lifting it. So that is our geranium. We're gonna move on now to the other flowers. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add this color here. The red on its own, but I think I'm gonna play with it a little and create different varieties of it. So some of them slightly lighter and then some of them slightly darker. No, actually it just blends in too much with the geranium, so I'm gonna go with the same mix of the color throughout. So these are beautifully red. I do like that look, and we're going to repeat that throughout these flowers. It's quite interesting to have the main flower in the center that is also the largest flower, slightly more subdued, and then have a sprinkling of a very vibrant... Of course, my memory card got full. Anyway, the point is I have been swatching out the third color, and I now want to see what we can actually mix if I add that color into what we already have. So let's have a look. It might be something, it might be nothing. So kind of, I guess, if I add a bit more of it, it's sort of like an orangey color. And I can use that on these berries. That's a good color. I'm going to swap to a smaller brush and finish off these berries. See, if I wasn't forced into this situation, I would not necessarily take my favorite red and mix it with a mustard yellow. I just wouldn't think of it. Also, what I like with this two colors, somehow when you're pulling it out, it looks more yellow here at the tip of it. It's quite nice. Let's go ahead and just use this peachy color on these little daisies. Just need to make sure there's enough water here. And then there is one color remaining, which we can pick for these berries here. I want something that will not disturb this beautiful limited color palette, something that will kind of naturally just fit in. And let's have a good look. I think this color looks quite nice. And we want something quite zesty. Actually, I'm gonna go with this one here. I'm just first going to audition it and see if I like it. I do like it. So that's gonna be quite nice here. So this is a bit warmer and a bit more opaque than my chartreuse. So I went for this color. I think it's adding a bit of zest, but still staying within that warm color palette. So the only thing that's left is now to swatch this color, and I really have to say that I quite enjoyed working with just 4 colors, and it's definitely a color palette I would go for again. I hope you enjoyed this session today, and so far I have to say it might be one of my favorites. Really cute, if I say so myself. Thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow again.